let's say that I love to collect marbles. And I love to do it so much that sooner or later my entire room filled with marbles, and it's just this huge mess. And when I look at them, I have no idea how many marbles I've collected. So I have all of these marbles, so I decided to do a little bit of organization. So I could draw what my room looks like initially, but it would fill the screen with marbles. So what I say is, well, maybe I could get organized by, I could take 10 marbles at a time. So let's say, let me draw 10 marbles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I put them in cans, in marble cans, that exactly fit 10 marbles, right? So let's say that they exactly fit 10 marbles. So let me see how well I could draw a marble can. Actually, let me draw my marble can in purple. So that's my marble can, and let's say that it fits exactly 10 marbles. And of course, I could draw my 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it had exactly 10 marbles in it. And I call this a 10 can. So this is not a tin can, a 10 can. So this is 110. 110. So good enough. At least this, I put all my marbles in 10 cans. I might have a few left over, less than 10, because obviously if I had 10, I would put it into a 10 can. But I put them all into 10 cans. But then I'm such an ambitious marble collector that I've collected so many 10 cans that I can't even see how many I've collected. My room is now full of these. So I say, well, why don't I put these 10 cans, or the marbles in them, into an even bigger can? So I take essentially 10 of these 10 cans, and I just decided to do 10 just because that happens to be the base system that we live in. And I don't want to confuse you with base systems, but take my word for it. So I take 10 of these. Let me see if I can draw them. That's 1, 2, 3. Apologize if I'm boring you. 4, 5, halfway there. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. As you can see, my drawing gets worse as I get tired. So these are 10 cans. Each one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 marbles. And I'm not going to do it for all of them, but you can imagine they all have exactly 10 marbles. So I take a bunch of, let me just finish this so you know that there are 10 marbles in each of the 10 cans. Not tin cans, 10 cans. Dum-de-dum, da-dum, da-dum. These are 10 cans. That's 6. I don't want you to think that there are only 6. I want to give the impression that there are 10 in each one. And I'll take these 10 and I'll put them into what I call a 100 can. And that makes sense, right? Because if I have 10 cans with each of them holding 10 marbles, then I have 100 marbles, right? 10 cans times 10 marbles per can. So I take 10 cans at a time, and I put them into these bigger cans, which I've recently purchased, and I call these 100 cans. So a 100 can looks like that, and it's nice because it doesn't get confused with the word 10. So my 100 can looks something like that. This hasn't been drawn to scale. A 100 can would be roughly 10 times the size of a 10 can. I could actually draw the 10 cans in here, but instead I just pour all the marbles in. So I could say a ton of marbles, but you know exactly how many marbles are in a 100 can. There are 100 marbles in them. Right? That makes sense. 10 cans. Take all the marbles in them, and you get a 100 can. So this is 100. 100. Fair enough. I now look at my room, and there seems to be some reasonable organization going on. But once again, I am such a good marble collector that even the 100 cans will do it. I have tons of 100 cans looking around the room, and once again, I can just look at my room and I don't know how many marbles I have. So I start putting those together, and I create something called 1,000 cans. So I take 10 100 cans. Let me see if I can draw them. So it's not going to be scale. So this is a 100 can, this big thing that I drew in brown. I'm going to do the same thing. That's 1, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And these are 100 cans. So, this looks small, but I just drew it that way so I could fit it. But, if I had to draw it that scale, the marbles are all, it's really full of marbles. You almost can't see each individual marble because I drew it so small now. It is just full of marbles. Each of these cans has 100 marbles. This big thing is the same thing as this thing right here. Each of these have 100 marbles. 100 marbles. So if I were to pour all of these marbles into a humongous can, this is massive. And my drawing won't do it justice because I have to fit it on the screen, but it's going to be 10 times the volume of this can, or 10 times the size of that 100 can. I mean, you can imagine, if that's the size of a 100 can, there's going to be a 10 can, right? So, and it's going to be full of marbles. I mean, the marbles are so small, they'd be like little dots, right? They're just going to fill up the whole thing. You can't even, at this scale, it'd be hard to even see how many marbles you have in there. And that is 1,000 can. Let me do it in green. So this is a 1,000 can. 1,000 can. And just so you have a sense of scale, if this is the size of 1,000, let me show you how so all of these 10 hundreds, right? And hopefully you know that if I have 100 times 10, I get 1,000. And if you didn't, you know it now. So if I get 10 of these 100 cans, and I pour all the marbles into this 1,000, I can pour all of them into this big can, and I have 1,000 marbles in this can. And just as a sense of scale, if this is the size of 1,000 can, so I did 1,000 can in green. If this is, then this would be the size of 100 can, and then a 10 can would look something like this. A 10 can would be like tiny. It would be like that size. Just so you have a sense of scale. That thing would look like that if this big 1,000 can is this size. And then an individual marble would be like a little dot. It would be like that. Like that. I don't know if you can even see it. That's how small it would be. So fair enough. Now, not only am I a marble collector, but I have filed for patents on these various cans, and I won't go into what a patent is, but maybe you can ask someone. But I have invented these cans for helping me organize my situation. So let's take a couple of situations that I encounter as a marble collector, and let's see if these cans are actually helping me keep track of things. So let's say I just, I have a big sack of marbles that I collected today, and I don't want to sit and, it must be thousands and thousands of marbles. So, but I don't want to sit and count them. I have better things to do than count. I could be collecting marbles. So what do I do? So let's remember, 1,000 is green, 100 is brown, 10 is this purplish color. Invert colors. Okay, so let's say that after filling up, I have this sack of marbles. Let me draw the sack, and I'll do it in a different color. It's a red sack of marbles. So it's a sack. So it's not, and it's full of marbles. So it's just tons of marbles in this sack. Too many to count. Too many for me to count. So what I do is I pour them into some of the cans I have, right? So let's say I start pouring into the cans, and I fill, what were the colors? Let's say that I fill 3 of the 100 marbles. So let's say, this is a 100 can. Here's another 100 can. And here's another 100 can. And I fill them up as much as I can, right? I fill them to the brim with marbles. So this is what I start with, and I pour as many as I can into this one. I was like, oh, I still have a ton more. And I pour as many as I can into this one. I fill it up. I pour as many as I can into this one. Right? And let's say that I even had another 100 can. And then let's say that I tried to fill a 4th 100 can. But I wasn't able to fill it up all the way. Let's say it only filled roughly halfway. So I'm like, well, I can't use a 100 can because I still don't know how many marbles are in this one. So first of all, what's our sense of how many marbles we have so far? I filled up 300 marble cans. Let me write that down. So this is 100 can, 100. This is 100. This is 100. And then this is 100 can. So these went into those. This is a 100 can. So let's just think about it a couple of different ways. I have 300 cans here, so this has got to be 300 marbles. And then I had another 100 can here that I couldn't fully fill up. If I filled it up exactly to the brim, then I would have had 400 cans, right? So this is going to be, so I essentially have 300 marbles and I have some extra. So how do I count the extra? Well, I can fill them into other cans that I might have. And so you can imagine I can use a 10 can. So let's start filling that into 10 cans. So let's say I take this kind of surplus marbles and I start filling 10 cans. So let's say I fill 4 10 cans to the brim. I fill 4 of them to the brim. 4 of them to the brim. So each of them have 10 in them. I fill 4 of them to the brim. So I took that whatever number I had here, it almost filled up it maybe halfway filled up my 100 can. I filled 4 to the brim, and then I had another 10 can right here. Oh, that's a slightly different color, but I think you get the idea. And then I had another 10 can that I tried to fill it to the brim, but it was a little bit short. It didn't get completely full, right? So first of all, let's just get a sense of how many marbles we have. Well, we had 300 that we originally filled, and then we had these that we couldn't fill a can with, so we dumped them into some 10 cans. So this was 1 10, this was another 10, and this was another 10, and this was another 10, and this was something less than 10. So we have 300 here, right? 3 times 100. We have 4 10 cans. What's 4 times 10? Well, that's 40, right? Let me do that. That's 40. What was this? This was 300, right? 3 times 100 cans. And then we have something a little bit extra. This 40 doesn't count this, because we don't want to count cans that aren't full, because we don't know exactly how many marbles are in that. So what I do is I say, well, I don't have anything smaller than 10 can. I'm just going to let those marbles sit out in the open. So I pour those marbles out, and I count those separately, because I have time to count less than 10 marbles. And I have exactly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 marbles there. And that's just basic counting. I have 9 marbles. So my question to you is, how many total marbles do I have? Well, I have 300 cans full of marbles, which represents 300 marbles. I have 4 10 cans of marbles that represent 40 marbles, right? 4 times 10. And then I couldn't fill up that last 10 cans, so I dumped them all out and I counted exactly 9 marbles. So I have 300 plus 40 plus 9. Let me write that down. So 300, well, I already wrote them down, but I could write them down a different way. I could write them down as 300 plus, what color did I use? I used purple. 300 plus 40 plus 9. And I'll do the plus in a neutral color. Plus 9. So how many marbles do I have? Well, and this is where, well, you probably are already exposed to this on some level. Well, there's a simple way of writing 300 plus 40 plus 9. We use what we call, number places. We could say, well, this is equal to, the number 349. And the way we know that this is 349 is because we know that this, what we call place, and the place, if you kind of say that, well, the 9 is the ones place. The 9 tells us exactly, after we filled our hundreds buckets or our cans, our tens cans, how many did we have left over? That's this place, the one all the way to the right. And before we learn about decimals, but in this situation, it's the one all the way to the right. This is the ones. Let me write that. This is the ones place. And it essentially tells us how many individual marbles we have. The second one, if we go to the left, this is called the tens place. And it's essentially telling us how many 10 cans we have, or how many cans of 10. And then the third one to the left, that's the hundreds place. Hundreds. And all it's telling us is, it's essentially just counting the number of 100 cans we have. So a very easy way, and the whole reason why I did this in the beginning, I take my sack of marbles, I fill up 3 of the 100 cans, Then I had some left over that I filled up 4 of the 10 cans. And then I had 9 left over before filling up another can. So I immediately know that I have 300 cans, 4 10 cans, and 9 single marbles left over. I immediately know I have 349 marbles. Hopefully I haven't confused you and I have inspired you to collect marbles. I will see you in the next video where I'll do more problems involving our marble cans and place notation. See you soon.